What's going on, everyone? LA Sports back with another video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about Toronto Raptors potential draft targets. And of course, the draft is fast approaching. It is very soon, of course, as the Golden State Warriors have a chance tonight to close out the NBA season and win the NBA title. And the NBA draft is currently scheduled for a week today, of course, June 23rd. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about a few, and these are my favorite guys for the Toronto Raptors to potentially draft. Of course, that's keeping it realistic, knowing where the Raptors are currently. Of course, that is at the 33rd overall pick. I don't know if they add a pick. I don't know if they move up or move back. We'll see what they do. If they do make a move involving draft capital, I would, this season I would expect it to be adding draft capital for maybe a guy like a Khem Birch or something like that. But we'll see what happens. It's going to be very interesting. But let's get right into it. Going on with my favorites. Quickly, let me just rank these guys. My favorite player out of everybody here is Christian Koloko. He is my favorite out of all. There's six guys I'm going to be talking about. He's my favorite of the six. There's no secrets about that. My second favorite is Wendell Moore, followed by Andrew Nemhart. But I love all six of these players. Let me just start off by saying that, and I really hope that the Raptors come out with at least one of them in next week's NBA draft. But of course, if they don't take one, I would be perfectly fine with it as well. But let's start off by talking about Christian Koloko, of course, who is a center out of Arizona. He's a 7-foot tall center, 220 pounds. He's from Cameroon, so of course he would be, from the same place as Pascal Siakam. That would be a pretty neat thing for the Raptors to have a couple of guys from Cameroon, and I think it's definitely realistic. I think all these guys are realistic. This is right in the range of 33 where the Raptors are picking. I wasn't going to start off and come in here and talk about guys going in the top 10 like Benedict Mathurin, who overall is my top 2 or 3 favorite players in this draft, but I'm not going to talk about him because unless the Raptors make a big trade, it's unrealistic that we're getting him. But Christian Koloko, like I said, it's realistic because Masai Ujiri, he gets a lot of African players, so this could definitely work out. And he certainly has put up the numbers in college. This past year, of course, he put up 18 points per game, 10.3 rebounds per game, 2 assists per game, and my favorite is 4 blocks and over a steal a game. Those numbers are obviously very serious, especially defensively, but he's averaging a double-double a game and then 4 blocks to go with that, so he's definitely got the full package with him. Currently on the tank, I've been looking on Tankathon. I think they have a pretty good mock draft and board set up. They currently have him going 35th overall to the Orlando Magic. That's 2 picks after the Raptors, who in this select Andrew Nemhart, which brings me into the second player. That is Andrew Nemhart. Of course, he is Canadian. He's from Aurora, Ontario. He went to Montverde Academy for high school. So he's familiar with the area. He's very, very good out of Gonzaga. Of course, the point guard. He's a 6'4.5" point guard, just under 200 pounds. So some nice size to him for a point guard. And he's a very interesting player, and I really, really like him as well. He, at Gonzaga this year, he averaged 13.3 points per game, 4 rebounds a game, 6.5 assists per game, 0.1 blocks per game. Of course, he's a point guard, so you're not going to see too much of that from him. But he did have 1.8 steals per game, which is very eye-catching. And I think a lot of these guys I picked are really, really good both on the offensive and defensive side of the floor, which I think are players the Raptors really like. So I think these are the most realistic players. And personally, I like players that do it on both ends of the floor. So I think these are really, really realistic for the Raptors and the most realistic players for the Toronto Raptors. So Andrew Nemhart is definitely an option, of course, the Canadian. He is very good. The next one I want to talk about is Wendell Moore. I really like Wendell Moore out of Duke, the small forward, 6'5.5", 220 pounds. This past season, he averaged over 14 points per game, over 5.5 rebounds per game, just under 5 assists per game. 0.2 blocks per game, but a steal and a half. So obviously he brings it like everyone else on both ends of the floor. He's 20 years of age. He's going to be 21 when the season starts. I personally really like Wendell Moore. I think he went to a good school, so obviously he's got some learning, in that system and brain. He's probably a very smart player, and I think he would be really good for the Raptors. He's a good 3-point shooter, so he kind of has the whole package. He does everything. I really like him, and like I said, Colaco's my favorite player of these 6, and then Wendell Moore's right behind him. But if the Raptors end up with any of these 6 guys, I'd be really happy. They're my 6 favorite guys in this range. So Wendell Moore is the 3rd player. The 4th player I want to talk about is Emmanuel Camargo, the big man, the 6'11", 220-pound center. He's a pretty big guy. He's got some length. He's a nice player. He played internationally in Paris for Paris basketball. He averaged 15 points, 8.3 rebounds, an assist, 2.1 blocks, and a steal per game over there. He's, of course, French. He's from Paris. That's where he went on to play basketball. He's 21 years of age. He doesn't turn 22 till January. I really like him. He does not shoot threes, which is fine. You don't need that out of a center because he's a center. That's okay. And if there's any team that could develop a 3-point shot, it's the Toronto Raptors. He doesn't even attempt 3-pointers, so maybe if the Raptors can get him to start shooting it, he could develop it in the league. Who knows? But he is a very good player, big in the post. He's not afraid to use the size. I really like him. He's very efficient, shot 65%. He was a 66% free throw shooter, so again, that's something the Raptors can develop, as they do with a lot of players. But I really like Emmanuel Camargo out of Paris. You don't see these international players every day, so it's interesting to see him. He is projected. He's the 2nd or 3rd projected international player in this year's draft, so that's definitely a very interesting name, of course. And he's a center, so he's I would say the biggest need position-wise for the Toronto Raptors. The next player is Jake Laravia. He, of course, is the small forward out of Wake Forest, 6'8", 230. He's a big guy. He's 20 years of age, and he put up some serious numbers this past year. He averaged 15.4 points per game, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, a block, and just under 2 steals per game. So another guy. He's a two-way player. He could score. He could pass the ball. He gets rebounds, and he plays really well defensively. He's an all-around player, really. He could shoot the 3-ball, which is good. So he's the type of player you would want to have. Again, another two-way guy that the Raptors really value. He's got a 7-foot wingspan. Of course, that is Jake Laravia out of Wake Forest at 20 years of age. And then the final player I wanted to talk about was Walker Kessler. He, of course, is a very interesting player who is the center out of Auburn. Now, Walker Kessler is as big as they come. He's a 7'1" center at 256 pounds. He's huge. And I personally really like him. I think he's a very strong player. He does so many good things out there on the basketball floor, including a insane number of blocks. First of all, he averages a double-double, over 16 points a game, just under 11.5 rebounds a game, over an assist a game, 6.4 blocks per game, along with a steal and a half a game. That's just crazy. I mean, out of Auburn, of course. He also played at North Carolina. He has the full package for a center. He's massive. He can shoot the 3, not very well, but he does shoot it. Just 20%, but again, that's something the Raptors can develop. So we'll see what they choose to do with that. But overall, guys, that's all I got in this video. You guys let me know down in the comment section your thoughts on the video, your thoughts on the 6 potential Toronto Raptors draft targets. Again, I kept it realistic, right in the range where the Raptors are picking at 33 overall. I would be very happy with any of these guys. And even guys that I didn't mention, I still like a lot of these players in this draft, of course, as I do every year. Every player has their strengths and weaknesses, but I'd be very happy if the Raptors ended up with one of these guys. Hopefully the Raptors can continue to pick up some draft capital, right around the 40 range. If they can get an extra pick or two, that would be obviously very, very nice, and maybe they can end up with two of these guys. But that's really all I got in this video. You guys let me know down in the comment section your thoughts. Leave all that good stuff down below. And as always, please leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. We'll see you guys on the next video. Let's go Raptors.